that Christmas, but I really remember that toothpaste because not only had he noticed that I always bought a toothpaste that had a whitening agent in it. He'd noticed that I was saying, oh, I can't eat this, it makes my teeth hurt when I ate something cold, or I can't eat this, it's too hot. And he'd actually gone out and thought, well, I need to buy a toothpaste for sensitive teeth, and I need to buy a toothpaste that still is whitening. And he bought me this toothpaste. It was just like, yes, you really know me, and that made me feel so special.
Secondly, don't only wait for special occasions. It doesn't have to be only birthdays, anniversaries or Christmas. Spontaneous and unexpected presents can be fantastic and make someone feel very special and loved. For example, if our husband or wife is going through a particularly hard time, a present can communicate, I'm with you in this difficulty, I understand, I care about you. Or if there's an achievement to celebrate, a present means I'm proud of you.
Thirdly, actively discover what presents your partner likes to receive. Obviously, it needs to be within your budget. Think back to things your partner has said they've especially liked over the years, from yourself or from others. There's such a range of presents. Tickets to a football match or a concert, something to eat or drink that they probably wouldn't buy for themselves, something they like collecting.
Some people like surprise presents, others really don't. And for some, the way it's wrapped up is as important as the present itself.
We both enjoy buying and receiving gifts and presents, but I really struggled with the wrapping it up, because to me, it's the gift, isn't it, that matters. And I would be just as happy to give him his CD in the plastic bag that they gave it to me in the shop, whereas actually you go to really quite a lot of trouble, don't you, with kind of paper and bows and ribbons and things. And I just think, what a waste of money, because all of that's going to go in the bin. I could have got more of a gift. But actually it's really important to you that I take care to wrap it up. And we had to talk about that, didn't we? That for you is part of the gift, is the care that's been taken in presenting it and giving it.
The best present givers are those who find out what the other person likes, rather than giving what they themselves would like to receive. Does your husband or wife like very practical presents or something more decorative?
Nicky and I are quite different. He loves practical presents and I really don't. And when we first got married, I gave Nicky lots of weird and impractical things that, looking back on now, I realise I liked, but he really didn't very much, though he didn't let on. And I've learned over the years, and now I really try hard, to give him the thing that he's probably asked me to give him. So, for example, recently he asked me to give him a battery-powered pencil sharpener for his birthday. Well, I just found that so hard to do, as I thought that is a really boring present.
But for me, it was one of the best presents Scylla's ever given me. It also took me a while to learn that Scylla doesn't like practical presents. When we'd been married about 5 years, our home had two loos, two toilets, both of which had very uncomfortable plastic seats. And I suddenly had a brilliant idea of what to get Scylla for Christmas. I went out and I bought a very smart pair of wooden seats. I was so excited, I couldn't wait to give them to her. Now, Scylla's normally very good at expressing her excitement when she opens presents, but even she struggled to think of anything nice to say when she opened them and saw what I'd given her. I'd have loved them.
Does anybody see my point? The disappointment factor was massive, but I suppose we are still using them 25 years later. We want you to take a few minutes now to tell your partner what have been the best presents that you've received from them. And be specific. Explain why they were so special and meant so much to you. And don't be hurt if it's not what you expected to hear. It's never too late to change.
Yeah, I think we can have a few comments and questions, reactions before we complete. Maybe that will help us to adjust to what we have been viewing. Who is going to start? Don't let us, don't let us be shy, like we said earlier. Just feel free. If it's a question or it's a reaction or you want to reinforce what you have seen and heard, you want to share with us your own experience, you're welcome. You're welcome, Jill, as saying your best. Fine. Yes. I was tempted to call on the latest, but she's looking at me and, Rina, can you tell Sammy openly now? One of the areas, we're talking about love languages, those things that actually make you feel loved. Like I said, it doesn't have to be only for people who are married, even in general in life, so that we can get to know each other better and what makes us feel good, that kind of thing. Because sometimes we think that the other person should know. We assume. We think that you should know by now, but you never really can know everything about a person. And that's why we say that marriage is for life. And then you continue to learn. Friendship too is something. You deepen your friendship with people. Yes?
Well, just to say before our contributions, while we're thinking about our contribution, what we are also learning is not just for the man and the wife. You have your children. What are some of the things you can express to your children?
Make them feel loved.
And make them feel loved. Can they also open up? Can they easily come and hug you? Oh, daddy, those kind of things. Because from these discussions, the examples we get from the couples, you discover that everyone will be saying, I grew up this way, I grew up this way. So some of the ways we interact with our children will go a long way in impacting on their later lives. For those of us that have the children now, and then for those of us that are already newly married or, what about in our own relationship with our spouses? Even when you are not married yet, how do you relate to other people? And then what are some of the restraints? Because it is what you give that you most times will receive.
Want to receive.
Yes. So even in your normal relationship with your girlfriends, your boyfriends, how do we, your male friends, sorry, not boyfriend now, how do we really relate so that we will, as we go into this discussion, some of the love language mentioned here, loving words. We don't have to be married people to know how to use words. Kind words.
Affirming words.
And how do you relate with your children? How do you talk to them? Can your children be confident to say, oh, I know my dad will, will they be open enough to come discuss things with us without us condemning them or being sarcastic to them? Can they feel free to hug us? We kiss one another. Sometimes you find some of our little children say, hey, mommy, I got this, Can we do that confidently, in the presence of the children? Not the erotic type, but such that you are affirming your spouse. Oh, I remember in fact, since we got married in my own case, anytime my husband is returning from work, from anywhere, I run out, go hug him. Even up to today, I still do that. It has become part of me, and I believe that the children too have learned some of these things. And that's why at any time, we are always hugging one another. With the children, it means a lot to me. It's a way of affirming to say, oh, I love you. I don't have to push you, out. So we can discuss some of these things. And then giving presents, we talked about from our discussants there, giving thoughtful presents. Thoughtful, not just say, I was passing, I saw this thing. Did you think about it and what it will convey to the other person? even though I didn't really like the idea of that man buying toilet seats for his wife. For me, I know, now I know the president. No, the president at all. No, you said you are giving me something, me. You know, make it special to me.
But
if you are buying
it's for the good of the whole.
Yeah, okay.
For the good of the whole.
Thank you very
The
much.
plastic one could easily cut you. But the hard one, you know.
Yes, I like no, you see, there's two sides to it. You brought a gift. You brought something. You say, oh, I brought this for the house. A woman would be happy. Oh, that's kind of you. But to now say, and wrap it, come and give her. This is gift for you. I don't know. I don't know the thing I will talk to, but I know I won't be happy about it. But you know, so the floor is open to
Yes. Don't look at him and just go ahead and say what you
I'm looking at him because a week ago, let's say about 2 weeks ago, he was going to Lagos and he was actually going for a conference. So I turned and said, bring me Mama Oyo.
Mama Oyo, yes.
I said, bring me Mama Oyo. And honestly, it's the first time I'm actually asking him for something like that when he's going for an official outing. And usually when he travels out, he buys things for us, everybody in the house. You know, but this one I was like, when you are coming back, make sure you bring me Mama Oyo. And he just smiled and left.
Papa Oyo.
Papa Oyo. So he went to Lagos and I was expectant. I was very expectant. And in the past, sometimes when I like ask him to buy something, he comes back explaining, he said I wasn't convenient to go and shop and all that. So I kept telling him, I said, why is it that it's only when you're out of this country you find it convenient to buy gifts for us? I don't like this idea of you not being able to buy gifts for us when you are in the country, you know. So, but this time around I was very expectant. So when he left, he called me from there and said, what do you really want me to buy for this? And I said, buy me a dress. And that's like, honestly, an unusual demand because he will either do me a perfume or a wristwatch, something that would be easy for him, but a dress. And he used to say my taste is too much, so getting something that would please me is very difficult. He didn't answer. And I was like, I hope this guy will buy me something like this. I'm in the house with him and our first daughter. So I told her, I said, I'm very expectant. Dad is coming from Lagos today, and I'm hoping that he can report me this dress. So by the time he came back, we gisted, welcome and everything. And he didn't talk about the dress the first day. I told myself, I won't ask him. The second day, I told myself, I won't ask him. Then he now, I think it was the third day, he now said again, he started telling me something about what happened in the hotel room. And somebody brought clothes to sell for men. And like they brought jeans and trousers. He didn't finish the story. When I said, I hope, he now looked at me and said, in fact, then he didn't complete the story. So I said, did you buy trousers for yourself? He said, no, there's no need to talk about the story again. I said, you see why I get angry with you. You travel to Lagos, I said, buy me Papa, you did it. Like you've gotten something for yourself and you are telling me you don't want to complete the story. It's obvious you got something for you. He said, don't worry, he will not complete the story. So by the next day, we all went out. Then in the evening, he came back and said he bought something for me and my daughter. We looked at ourselves like, Daddy has gone to manufacture something. Then he brought this very beautiful gown. Very beautiful.
You had a surprise.
Oh no, it was too much. And he got for my daughter too a gown, and it was our perfect size.
Oh.
And so for me, it was something very good.
That's good.
So I want to mention that it's actually very pleasant when our partners can respond to us. And like the other lady mentioned, when they know what you want, because sometimes when you place a demand, that is what you actually want to get from them, and you appreciate it better when they are able to do it. And I think as partners, we should keep that habit of giving gifts.
But let me remind us of a few things. Thank you, my sister, for this very heartwarming testimony. I wish I could get some kudos like this. You know, they say, when you're also thinking about gifts, think about your budget. Let it be within your budget. And there was something they mentioned. Those who are thrifty, who are savers, hardly want to spend. And for those who also like to save, they say maybe gifts will be like an investment. Because actually, there are a few things we do to our friends that, if you like, you know, will switch them on. I used to tell some men, not me alone, anybody who talks about marriage, and especially females. I don't know about men so much, but I think that women generally can be tuned off and on in this issue of appreciating them, not necessarily because you want to have sex, but just for the fact that they play the first role in your life. To know that they are appreciated, that they are loved, that they mean something to you. And like they said, some of these things are not costly. That is even the thing there, that because I think what happens to many of us is that we think of the value of a gift according to the price. So I bought it from Gucci or something like that, you know. Is that what they call it? Yes. Gucci.
Interesting that he knows this name. We're from the children.
So you learn a lot, you know, when you are growing in this thing, because sometimes you find that the world is changing fast. And what people value at their own time may not be the same thing you value. Like somebody said, I mean, I never grew up seeing my father holding my mother in public and walking along. But certainly, the first few years of our marriage, when I used to stay in the sitting room and tell my wife in the kitchen, well done, no, I won't hear anything. No response. I thought I was being a nice man by even saying, well done. But when I now moved to that place, and I said, you have not responded to my greeting now. He said, is that how they greet? you know, you feel somehow. He said, if you want to greet me, come close. Come to the kitchen. Don't stay there in the sitting room. Maybe you're watching Russia versus England. And then you shout from there, Giaomi, well done, oh my darling, well done, you know. And nobody responds. You didn't even have to thank you or anything. You have to go. And he said, don't come and push me with your hard hand. Just do a gentle touch. You know, you begin to learn. You be asking yourself, when will I perfect in this? So that's what they're trying to say here, that it's never really difficult to, you know, learn these languages. That's why he compared, when he went to Japan, he had to learn. Initially, it's difficult. And real love in action is not just emotional. It's something you learn. You tell yourself, I will do this to make this person feel loved. That is the problem we're having in the world today. Even in the Western world, it's all about feeling only. And once you rest it on feeling, after a while, the feeling may disappear. And then they say the love has ended. Let's call it quits. Go your way. But truly, the Bible tells us that love is on the will. Jesus loved us in spite of our sins. He went out of his way, died for us, did things that, you know, normally no ordinary human beings not even die for a nice person, talk less of very bad people. But that's what Jesus, that is the height of this love in action we're talking about. But we have now broken them to these bits. All right, so that's just, I wanted to highlight a few of these things. But let's move on a bit. I know you may have.
The third way of expressing love is through touch. Gary Chapman wrote, "To touch my body is to touch me. To withdraw from my body is to distance yourself from me."
Touch speaks louder than any words to some people. And you'll know whether or not that's you. It communicates love where it's given and rejection where it's withheld.
I think love languages do change with the seasons of life again that you go through. But and I know Dave's is more touch, but then I would tend to not do that as much because I always thought men, once you get into touch, it goes into physicalness and you know, then he'll want more than just a touch, so I won't bother touching him. And then he'd feel rejected that I wasn't being more physical with him in just holding his hand or, you know, doing something like that. So I think the rejection that you feel when we're not aware of one another is big, isn't it?
For me, as Nikki said, touch is a very close second to time. And Nikki knows from years of experience that if I'm worried or stressed about something, the best thing he can do is to take me in his arms, hug me, hold me, and kiss me. And things suddenly seem to get much better as a result.
Touch that communicates love can be shown in lots of different ways. We need to use the whole range and know what's appropriate at particular times. So, it could be holding hands, arm around the waist, a kiss, a hug, a hand on a hand, a brush of the body as you pass, a back massage, sexual foreplay right through to making love. Both sexual and non-sexual touch are vital between a husband and wife.
Touch is extremely important in our relationship. I never had a lot of touchy-feely when I was small from my brothers or my sisters or my mum or my dad. And since having the kids and being married, I found that I'm very tactile. So I can find any excuse now just to touch June, you know, whether it's on a leg or a face or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll find any situation just to touch her.
Yeah, it's really funny. We've got a galley kitchen in our house and it's quite long. It's 17 feet long and about 8 feet wide, 6 feet with the units. It's not so narrow that two of us can't pass at the same time, but that's one of the things that Eric started to do when we had the kitchen redone, and is pretending that there wasn't enough room to squeeze past. So we do this little squeezy, full body contact thing in the kitchen, and it turned into quite a joke, and now it's a bit of a signal between us, isn't it? It is. And we'll like pretend we can't pass each other in the kitchen and squeeze past, and you know, he might wink at me. It's really funny, and it's really important. The whole touch thing is really important.
If you are someone who finds it difficult to show physical affection, you really can learn.
And it's worth being aware that if you're going through a tough time in your sexual relationship, it may not only cause feelings of frustration sexually, but can also cause your partner to feel unloved, especially where touch is their #1 love language. So it's really important that you still make the effort to show affection to each other in non-sexual ways.
The fourth love language is quality time. Quality time means more than being together in the same place. It involves focusing our attention on each other. Gary Chapman tells the story of a couple who came to see him. Both husband and wife worked full-time, and she suffered from ill health. So he did all he could when he got home from work to express his love to his wife. He cooked, he cleaned, he looked after the garden. This husband said to Gary Chapman, "She still says she feels that there's no love in our marriage. What more does she expect from me?" At which point, the man's wife said to him, "I wish you would stop doing things and sit down with me just to talk."
Clearly, he felt love through actions, while she felt love through time. For someone for whom this is their love language, a lack of time can cause them to withdraw.
There are times when I spend a long time in the office and don't come home for extended periods, and that really does it takes us another 2 or 3 days after that for us to sort of really come back together. I mean, typically when we go on holiday, I'll be trying to get things finished before we go away, and it'll take 2 or 3 days before we properly relax and really come back together again.
Yeah, because I find myself, because it's my love language is quality time, and I find myself really withdrawing if I don't have that. And so, of course, we haven't spent time already, a couple of days perhaps together, and then we do come back together, and it takes me quite a while to thaw out and sort of let David back in again.
We want to look at 3 aspects of friendship which all involve quality time together. First of all, talking together, sharing our thoughts, feelings, fears, hopes and disappointments with each other. We need quality time to be able to express to one another our thoughts and feelings, whether they're positive or negative.
I realized that after this marriage course, we began to go into, deeper into our conversation, listened better, and then, responded better to each other. For me, that was very good.
I remember some of the questions in the course helping me to share some difficulties I was going through with my back problem. I have a backache, and I found it so difficult communicating my fears to Elizabeth, thinking that I may scare her of what possible handicap I could have in the future. But the course helped me to talk it through, and afterwards I appreciated so much her sensitivity towards me in regard to my health. She was always willing to do certain things that I normally would do for myself, just so to help me out.
A second way of spending quality time together is through eating together. Meal times present some of the best opportunities for quality time, and we need to make use of them. Years ago, when our children were young, we left them with their grandparents for 3 days so that we could spend some time on our own. And we went to stay in a small hotel in the Highlands of Scotland. And we'd been really looking forward to this opportunity to finish a sentence without being interrupted by the children.
I'll never forget going into the dining room the first night. It was full of couples sitting at tables for 2, and all of them looked as though they'd been married much longer than us. However, apart from the sound of knives and forks on plates, there was total silence.
We were given a table right in the middle of the room, and we sat as close as possible, talking in whispers so that our conversation wasn't overheard by everyone else.
And I remember thinking, I'm sure if those same couples had been out with friends, or even if they'd been at a party with complete strangers, they wouldn't have sat in silence throughout the evening. They would have made an effort to initiate conversation. The tragedy for many married couples is that they fail to recognise that the greatest effort should be made with each other.
Before we came on the course, we spent most evenings with the TV on. And Jill would watch the TV more often than I would. I usually don't watch telly and would end up drifting off to the computer. And that meant that most evenings we didn't talk at all. After the course, it was very different.
Yes, we decided there weren't going to be any TV dinners anymore. We were going to concentrate on talking together. So I'm home first, and I'd set the table and have candles and make it look really special just for the 2 of us. And we now really talk at a mealtime in the evening.
Thirdly, having fun together. Friendships are built on shared experiences. Shared experiences give us a store of shared memories. On our marriage preparation course, we get the engaged couples to write down a list of the things that they enjoy doing together. And their list includes all sorts of things like going to the cinema, playing a sport together, going for a walk, cooking together, shopping, exploring new places together, and so on.
Our aim is that in 5 years' time, they can ask themselves if they're still having fun together, doing the things that they both enjoy. During the marriage course, we've given you homework that we hope has stimulated further conversation. But it's important not to be always analysing our relationship or to become over-intense. This can be draining for some people. We all need fresh experiences in order to breathe fresh life into our relationship. And that's where our marriage time can help.
I think marriage time was something that I certainly lacked in my effort towards Carol, without any doubt. And I think where we are now getting on much better is that we're doing quite a few more things together on a more permanent basis. And I think one thing that we enjoy doing together is a couple of things. One, we like running together, and also we go to the theatre a lot, which we enjoy and share as well. So
one thing we don't do though is I still don't go to football. So
no,
I still hate football, and he still goes to football.
You can't have everything in life, can you? It's all about balance and sharing.
Yeah, but we are doing the marathon together in April.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun in different times. I think it's fun time. I think people think you've got to sit down and discuss all your issues, which isn't what marriage time is actually about. It's about doing some fun things. One time we do things for you, one time for us, and sometimes do new things together, which is actually the theatre.
Yeah.
In this next exercise, we're going to get you to think of the things that you enjoy or have enjoyed doing together, or perhaps you'd like to start doing together. You could then use your lists as ideas for your marriage time in the weeks to come.
What are some of the quality times, activities we could actually have? I know some of us, probably we go to work, we leave the house very early. By the time you come back, you are really fagged out. You don't have so much time to even spend. The next thing you are thinking about is just have your meal and then go to sleep. And then your spouse is there, she came back home early with the children, you know. How can we provide some solutions, you know, with regards to this, so that we can have quality time? Let's look at it. Some of us may not have reached that stage. You know, we could, from our own experiences, for those of us who have passed this stage, you know, could you also give some, yes, you probably had made some mistakes before, but with hindsight, you are able to think of and say, oh, this one we will have done better in this regard, so that those who are coming up will also learn. Yes, do we have some things to share? Yes, my sister.
So he comes home on the weekends.
Volume, please.
Sorry. I said my husband doesn't work in Abuja.
Yeah.
He comes home on the weekends, so that's on Friday. And then he leaves very early Monday morning. So this has been going on for 2.5 years. But what we both did was we decided what is priority for us. Our marriage, our family is priority. And that means having to cut out a lot of other activities. For instance, when it comes to church activities, we take the really bare minimum. We try not to involve ourselves so much with church activities, because as far as we're concerned, we literally have 2 full days to spend with each other as a married couple and as a family. And so when he gets back that Friday, it's just us. It is just us with the children. So we do everything together. If we're going out, we go out together. If we're at home, we're together. But basically anything we're doing during those weekends is just the 4 of us. Of course, sometimes with the children, like if we wanted to just spend time on our own, what we try to do is get them to go to bed early. So when we fed them and gotten them to bed in the evening early, we can just be on our own and we gist. You know, we just do stuff together, and we can be together till sometimes 1 a.m., 2 a.m. So, you know, sometimes we even have to say to each other, you know, it's late. Listen, because the conversation never finishes. What we're doing never. It's fun. Yeah. So we actually say, no, it's actually 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Let's go and sleep because these kids will wake up 6:37. So we need to get our own sleep before they come and disturb us. So I think life is in phases, marriage is in phases. Right now, we can't say just the two of us we want to go out. The reason being, we don't have a living house help. So it's just us doing everything, you know. But I always say to him, I tell him, I say, there are things I want us to do together. You ask me, what is it? I say, I want us to travel. I say, there are places to see in this world. I say to him, I love going to watch live plays. And I always remind him, I tell him, I say, the time is coming. We will do those things together, just me and you. So he has it at the back of his mind. So that's why I said, marriage is in phases. Sometimes you have to make those sacrifices. But for us right now, you know, because of his work situation, we have had to cut out a lot. Even visiting friends, we try to limit it. And the truth is, for me, by Monday morning when he's going back, it's like I'm refreshed, I'm refilled, I'm a lot happier. You understand? I tell him, I say, I miss you, but I know you will come back on Friday again. And I look forward to that Friday when he comes back. So.
Great. That's fine. I love that. Thank you for that contribution. I think it will help quite a number of people. Yes, sir.
This topic, I'm happy that it came up here. For quite some time, I have been thinking. When I was in the service, I thought work made me not have time. And when I retired, I discovered that I got even busier. And if I not only mine this time, even her. She now came out and said, I'm so tired. I asked you, what have you been doing? I went there, I said, so I asked. But I realized when I looked down, one day I was in the church and I was there with them. On Sunday there's a fellowship program. Monday there's one program. On Tuesday there's another one. On Wednesday there's another group and you must come. On Thursday, that one I can't miss it. On Friday, and I asked, so what time do you have to spend with people? And I also got myself sucked in. Because sometimes you don't even come, you feel guilty, you feel bad, and they're not seeing you. So at the point, so I was telling her, even then, I said that she can't even help any situation, but I think this time is very good. I think activity, like she mentioned, church programs, I think it takes a lot of time like that. I don't usually have, I didn't believe time issue, but one teacher kept saying it. And then one day I think she went to go for holidays. She was talking about holidays. And to me, it was not a big deal. But it was that one woman that spoke to me that day. She said the same thing over and over, never really bothered. The woman now asked me, so all this work you have been doing is for what? For the first time, it hit me hard. See, your children, they can't see you. Your wife, they can't see you. And you're working. So what are you working for? And then after retirement, and we travel out. Just travel, not course, not anything, just together. I saw the difference. And ever since then, for the first time, I had to go with her to travel agency to see how we can book for holidays and stuff like that. So I think as Christians these days, some churches, I don't know, maybe in the bid to get members or to get people around, they load them with so many programs. And I think these are areas we can actually look out for.
Can make wise choices.
And like she said, painfully you have to resolve. I think one needs to actually resolve what programs to, however nice they may be, just to socialize on a few days. Like I said one time, I think on Monday, we're not going anywhere on Monday. But in the evening of that program again, they say, brother, please. And she was looking, I said, no. But after a while, it's difficult. So, but however, I think from this talk now, we'll make time to really, maybe as our sister mentioned, maybe choose a few days. And they just take those time out. I know that I'm the type too that my children, I have not really had time for them. I see that each time I see them with her, I feel very bad. I wish I'm able to watch. When I come around, it's like, daddy has come and things pass. And I'm not happy about it. And but I believe that well, if one stays around, even just being around, it can stir up the conversation, and then one can begin to have time for one another.
Well, our brother is a military person, and I think there's something about that which we have in the next session. There are people whose jobs take them out, you know, so they have a very peculiar situation. So they must also resolve to make sure that the little time, like our sister said, husband walks out, comes only on Friday. You just have to make efforts to make sure that that time you're together is quality. That's why I say quality time. Quality time. It does not mean that you will just throw your legs. Somebody said, you want me to sit home and be talking with you, what shall we eat? I know the lady may feel somehow, or so think, oh, so you mean that it's just money, 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 money. I know a case in Kano where I went to see a lady whose husband bought a car for her birthday, but she rejected the car. Asked me why. Me, I was like, forgive me this guy. He said, I don't need, tell him, that's what he said to me. Tell my husband, I don't need this guy, I need him. It takes, I don't think maybe if I say very few African women, they will be rejoicing about the car first. But the truth is that it's not just car. It's when you're getting older in this marriage, you will realize that these things are not actually the things that bond, make you really bond together. Because at old age, those things will no longer mean anything. It's the person that when you come, you will say, how are you? If you don't have it, I have seen a lot of people at old age abandoned. It is terrible. You wonder, is this marriage again or something else? Just have nobody to talk to. Your children are gone. These children are talking about, they'll be gone with their own, you know, pursuits. I think it's in China, they say they are now making a law. Instead of a child should get two. Because one child cannot take care of two aging parents at the same time. So human beings are more important than things. That's all I'm trying to say. Thank you, sir, for bringing it. This is yes, Sonny.
The only thing I would like to add, my sister have touched on it. I am happy they indicated quality time, the quality underlined.
Yes.
Because quantity time is the time spent together physically. Quality time is the time spent together emotionally. Because sometimes the two people are together in the house, physically, but they are not together.
You're right. They're just two tenants.
Yes.
Sharing apartments.
Yes. Because I'm talking from experience. A time came I had serious issues with my wife. And one of the things she complained to my senior pastor was that I don't give her enough attention. Meanwhile,
always in the house.
I'm always in the house.
What on your computer?
Either on my phone. So, quality time is that particular time that counts. The part of the time that counts.
That's right.
Yes.
I love that definition, part of time that counts. It's emotional. Because when you are really with somebody and it touches you emotionally, you will know. You know, it makes impact in your life, not just when you're there, you know, so detached. Thank you very much. Yes, any other?
What are some of the fun activities we will have? Our brother talked about the times he had been away because of the nature of his job. Now he comes home, he sees the wife always with the children, and immediately he arrives, the children get up, oh, daddy has come, and then they scatter. And in his own heart, he would have loved to also be part of the discussion with the children, but before you know it, they are all gone. So what are some of these things that we could actually discuss here to see how we can help with our children? You know, like the participants here say, we are learning. You can see it, even at old age, they are learning because they have not been practicing those things before. So it's never too late to learn, and it will help us. So what are some of the things, if we may suggest? My dear, can I join? What's your name? Your daughter's name? Favor. Favor. What I'm asking you now, you're our daughter. What are some things you would like Daddy to do when he comes back home with you? You've been hearing us talk. I know the things have been entering you. So tell us, Daddy, please can you look at me? Don't turn to her so that she can speak well. Yes, Favor. You would like him to talk to you, talk with you. Yeah? What more? What are some of the things? Hello, my boy. You're a big boy now. Yeah? How are you? Answer me now. Yeah? What else? Is it just to talk to you? Okay. Oh, Favor, how are you? Is that okay?
I was good today.
Is that all you want from him? Is it not mascom you are reading?
No.
What did she do? Oh, okay.
She's a small one.
She's in Jesus.
Okay, okay, tell us, what more would you want Daddy to? Apart from asking you, how are you? Feel free to talk. Okay, no worries. No. Yeah,
Don't talk.
I've not finished.
Okay.
Deborah.
Ma.
Tell me. You just graduated, thank you.
My daddy is perfect, really. We can talk about anything, actually, and he's very accessible.
Accessible.
Yes, he's free, he's kind, he's even to other people that are not us. So for us, it's just easy to talk to him, to tease him, to laugh with him.
Okay. You are the easy, which is quite unlike us, you know. So these are some of the things we can learn. Do we play with our children? What kind of games, you know? I think we can add some things to create fun. What about playing Ludo? Since when did Daddy start playing Ludo? Or what? You know, the little space you have, thank God, like in your estate, you can say, oh, let's go jogging. Take one of the children, let's go jogging today. Let's go out. Maybe the child may feel excited to go, but he's apprehensive. I don't know what Daddy wants to tell me today. Which sermon he wants to preach, because you've not been doing it. But you know, just keep the child relaxed, and then I think it will go a long way in helping us to really get into the heart of our children, so that we can help them as they are growing. They will be able to open up and share with us some of the pains they have, some of the difficulties. And then for those of us that are not married too, try to find somebody, a close friend, you know, you could spend quality time. Don't just bottle up and think everything centers around you. Life is all about relationship. We need one another in this life.
Trusted friends.
Trusted friends. Because at the end of the day, somebody should be able to say, oh, I know so person. I know him. He won't do this kind of thing, you know. People should be able to stand up for us at any point in time. Not the one say, don't mind that one, he's a loner. No. In life, we need one another. And talking about, you know, prioritizing our time now. I think, like our brother said, maybe some churches, you know, it's another way of getting membership. You should be able to discuss and know which ones you can attend and you are faithful for those days. And then you'll be able to also tell them that this day I will not be available. if you leave us in the church, we have Monday to Sunday, one thing or the other. But it is left for you to pick which one. And why we have so many days, so many activities, is because this one will be suitable to you, the other one may not be suitable to you. So don't always make yourself like the only righteous person who must attend everything. Even your pastor doesn't attend every program. Yes, because they are supposed to have 1 or 2 days they spend alone with the family. So let's see how we can help ourselves. Amen.
Thank you very much. Let's see if we can do anything further.
The 5th love language is kind actions. This is expressing love through doing things for each other, through seeking to meet our husband or wife's desires and needs in practical ways. So it's things like cleaning the house, making them a cup of tea, doing the finances, helping with a job application, making them their favourite meal.
I can tell Ju that I love her until I'm blue in the face, but it's water off a duck's back, really. If I take the bins out, however, without being asked first, I become Superman immediately, which is great.
Yeah, that's really true. I haven't really got any time for him telling me that he loves me at all. It's just like, you might as well say, I like chocolate, because actually, to me, it doesn't mean anything unless he actually does something about it, which is what we really discovered, didn't we?
This is the 2nd most important of the 5 expressions of love for me. And Sula does many things on a regular basis that mean a lot to me. But I particularly love it when she does something I'm not expecting, such as packing for me if I've had to go away overnight and have been under pressure, or bringing me tea and toast when I've been struggling to prepare a talk. Often the crisis has been self-inflicted through taking on too many commitments, and I felt really loved by Sula's kindness and thoughtfulness. And after many years of marriage, I continue to be amazed by all that Sula does for me, both the routine and the non-routine. And I sometimes catch myself wondering, why does she still do all these things? And the only answer that I can come up with every time is, it must be because she loves me.
A damaging attitude in marriage is to think it must be fair. I did that for you, so you should do this for me. Or, I'll do this if you do that. And when life is hectic, the instinctive question that we ask is, why isn't he or she helping me? It's so much better to turn it around and ask the question, is there something I can do to help you? If actions mean a lot to our partner, that will be especially important.
Those are the 5 ways of showing love, through words, presence, touch, time and actions. We're now going to hear from our feature couple, Paul and Sonia, who've been married for 7 years and did the course at the end of their 1st year of marriage.
One of the really exciting things that we got out of the course had to do with the session that we did on love languages.
We hadn't even heard of the concept of love languages. We didn't know that they existed.
We didn't really understand how each other wanted to receive love. I would do what worked for me, and Paul would love me in the way that it worked best for him.
My number 1 love language is physical touch, and I think in the 1st year of our marriage, before we went on the course, I'd put my arm around Sandra and give her a kiss and a cuddle.
I grew up in the States and had a loving upbringing, but we didn't necessarily go around showing physical affection.
I didn't understand why it wasn't that exciting for her as it was for me.
My mum and dad didn't necessarily show their love to each other that way, holding hands and kissing in public and this kind of thing. So coming to Europe and living here and seeing that, I didn't realize just how unaccustomed to this type of thing I was.
And it was only after taking the course that I then understood, well, actually, that is not her prime love language, therefore it doesn't do for her what it does for me. And I just would not have known that had we not gone on the course.
Because I've come to understand that physical touch is very important to Paul, I try to make sure that, I hold his hand or hug in more or something like that.
And it's appreciated.
My number one love language is kind words. It's important to get encouragement, whether it's about my work or it's how I look when we're getting ready to go out. If I've made a nice meal, I need feedback and I need to hear him say that.
I realise that kind words are something that's important to her, more important than they are to me. It took me a little while to understand this, and I wouldn't necessarily have understood that that's something that she needs before we took the course.
I love words, as I'm a writer.
And she's asked me to be one of the readers when she has written a novel, the manuscript. We then have long sessions of, well, what did you think of this character? What did you think of that character? And I understand that she needs the feedback, she needs the encouragement, she needs those kind words about what it is she's doing for her livelihood.
Through the course, we learned that this is really important to me, the number one thing. And so he does make more of an effort these days. We came to understand so much about the way that we could relate to each other and convey our feelings and love to each other.
It has changed our attitude towards each other, and we understand now that we do have love languages and that they are different, that we don't have the same love language. And I think that's the big realization that has come out of taking the course.
Somehow in our just day-to-day of being with each other, we've just incorporated that. It's a part of us now. And it's fantastic.
We want you to turn now to the exercise in your manual entitled Discovering Your Own and Your Partner's Love Languages. And one of the best ways of doing that is by thinking of specific occasions when you've known your husband or wife's